Hi guys, Jeffrey with Colorado Mountain Man Survival. Thanks for joining me today. When we look at stories of people in the backcountry that end up in survival situations or have, with either outcome, a good outcome or a poor outcome, there's always a point when you're looking at the story and you say, why didn't they stop here and do this? One of the big reasons is because in a high stress situation and you don't have a plan, you just do the wrong thing. So we've created this called the survival scale. Just a way, it's an assessment tool for you to see how close to being in a survival situation you might be. So stick around and we'll tell you all about it. When you look at case studies of people that get injured in the backcountry, whether there's climbers, skiers, snowshoers, snowmobilers, driving off-road, getting attacked by wild dogs, any kind of medical situation, we always see, and it's easy from the comfort of your home to say, why didn't they stop here and change their plan? Why did they keep going? Why did they keep climbing? Why did they keep skiing in avalanche country, whatever it is? So, as I said, whenever you're in the heat of the moment, whether it's doing emergency medicine or search and rescue, being attacked by wild dogs, it's very hard to make a decision sometimes. And if you don't have an assessment tool or a baseline, then you just end up doing the wrong thing. So this is our survival scale. It goes from 0 to 10. As you go up in numbers, it becomes much more severe. So think of 0 on the survival scale being sitting in the lodge next to the fireplace with a blanket on top of you, drinking hot chocolate. There's no immediate life threats. You're as safe as you can be. You're as comfortable as you can be. 1 and 2. So this is your planned typical recreation. So we've gotten up in the morning, we decide we're gonna go for a hike. We are competent outdoorsmen, so we look at the weather and say, oh, there's a 30% chance of light rain, temperatures in the 50s. So we say, okay, we get our backpack, we grab our appropriate gear, we've got our good layers on, we add a layer, so we've got a wind shell for both top and bottom, and we decide to go in the backcountry. We're out hiking around, the weather stays the same, the plan is totally normal. So you go for the hike, you don't have to get off trail, there's no unusual things going on, the weather is constant, you've got extra layers in your backpack, you've got your water bottles full. 1 and 2 is where you want to be, that's no problem at all. When that advances a little bit, any variation to the original plan, this can be something as small as the weather changing, or if you tell your family, hey, we're gonna go do this backcountry hike in this specific location. You drive out there and that area is closed for whatever reason. It happens a lot in Colorado, forestry issues, whatever it is, they'll close an area off. So then you decide to go to another place. So you've told your family you're going to be in location A, and instead you've moved to location B. So now you've got variation to the plan. So even though there's not any risk from that specifically, you've increased the overall risk because you've negated some of your ability to get help if you need to. So significant weather changes, more gear being used than planned. So in this scenario, we say it's going to be 50 degrees, so you go out for a walk, and sure enough, in the afternoon, a little drizzle starts. So I put my shell on. I've planned for this, no big deal. I've got maybe a little bit more gear in my backpack, not a big deal. So that's, as that progresses, let's say that it turns into freezing rain, and I have to say, all right, let's stop for a little bit. Let's dig in the backpack, get all my layers, get my gloves on, get my hat on. I didn't plan for this. I was planning for 55 degrees with a little bit of rain, temperature drop, now it's 32 degrees and there's freezing rain coming in. So this is really the cusp where the decision needs to be made. This is where you can make a really good decision here and make an evacuation, or you can make a really poor decision and continue down the path. So condition 5, I always say that you want to intervene between 4 and 5. So if your plan is to go out for the hike, you encounter unknown weather, or unexpected weather rather, and you've maxed out your gear, you've run out of water, you've any big change to the plan. If you're hiking somewhere and you're planning on refilling your water at this stream and you get there and there's no more stream, that's pretty significant because you've advanced your risk a little bit. That's where you want to make your decision. One of the decisions you could do is have an escape plan. Whenever we go camping and hiking, we always say we're going to hike to this point. If by the time we get to this point, this weather has happened or this event has changed or it's taken us this long, then we just got to wash it and we got to evacuate. We're not going to finish the hike. No big deal. We still had a good time and we were safe. So level 5 is conditions that exceed that of your gear. All of your layers are on, all of your safety gear is being used. So if you go climb and you expect maybe 2 pitches and you've got 2 lengths of rope and a safety rope, you use both of those and your safety rope, you've maxed out your gear. So if you've got all your layers on, if you've build a shelter and you've got your layers on and you're still getting cold, you've maxed them out, you've maxed out your gear, and now you're going to have to start bringing your skills into it. So we get into 6 and 7, now it's a survival situation. So your decision and acts here can save or cost a life. So we started out walking this morning thinking it was going to be 55 degrees with a 30% chance of intermittent showers. So we get up here, we summit, on the way back down, instead of a little bit of showers coming in, the temperatures drop rapidly. Now we're up here and it's 30 degrees. We've got freezing rain coming in, maybe some snow, maybe there's lightning, whatever it is. Now we've so exceeded our gear that we have to stop. This is where you stop and you have to make a good plan, which can just be, let's just wait out here for search and rescue. Let's wait out the night. Let's wait out the storm, whatever it is. So when you get into this level right here, this is when you're building a shelter. It's when you're unexpectedly making camp. So you don't have your big backpack with you, you've got your small kit with you, but you know that this is a bad situation. The gear that I have isn't going to help me thermoregulate. The gear that I have isn't fixing this medical problem. Whatever it is, now we have to stop. We have to build a shelter. We have to build a fire. Almost all of these really have to relate to with weather for the most part. So you're in 6 and 7. Let's say you make the bad decision. So you started off that day with the gear we talked about. 30 degrees, it's freezing rain. Instead of stopping and saying, hey, let's throw up a tarp right here, we're back in tree line, let's get a fire going, let's boil some water, let's see what happens. It's Colorado in the afternoon. These storms just blow by sometimes. You make a bad decision here. And you say, all right, man, let's just keep hiking. Let's just keep trucking through this nasty storm with our inadequate gear, and let's just hope for the best. So you do that for an hour or so, and now you're starting to fail the hypothermia test. So you and your buddies aren't able to touch your thumb to your pinky. You've got cold feet, really cold feet. Maybe some of your digits are starting to have a waxy appearance, and when you blanch it, it doesn't return. Or you're starting to shiver, or you're starting to get a little bit altered. So now we're in a medical situation. So this has devolved to the point where not only are we in a bad situation, but the adverse effect is happening to us. We're having these pathologies start: frostbite, frostnip, dehydration, whatever it is. So this is when you have to make the decision about evacuating, calling for help, and really at this point you have to go back to 6 and 7. You have to make a shelter. If you intervene early enough with this, you can make a shelter. This is where the vast majority of our education comes in, from 5, 6, and 7. So this is all risk management, and this is what happens when the risk management maybe didn't go so well. So you've got all your gear on, and now we're in the medical situation. So now we have to do, instead of just layering up, we've got to provide care for somebody. We've got to fix this problem that we have. So now we still have to go back, we have to get a tarp shelter, we have to make a fire, and instead of just warming ourselves up to prevent hypothermia, maybe we have to actively rewarm some of our fingers, things like that. 9 is as close to death as you can be. So you've got your shivering patient who stopped shivering, not because of your actions, but because they've exhausted their ability to compensate for cold. That's when you have to intervene. Or you get to 10, and 10 is the most stable of all of them, and it's death. So that's the worst outcome. So obviously you don't have to use these exact numbers. It's not as if you have to be in the backcountry and say, I'm at a 2.3 or whatever. It's just a way to give you a guideline and an assessment tool to see if things are going to plan, and if things are not going to plan, how much variance is there off of that plan, and then give you the confidence to be able to say, all right, guys, look, we're just not going to be able to summit today. The weather's too bad. There's too many avalanches out here. Whatever it is, whatever we've planned for, we're not executing that plan. There's a saying in aviation, plan the flight and fly the plan. And if you start to vary from the plan, you have to assess why. So here's the plan. This is a little bit of a change to the plan. We start assessing that. Now we're exceeding our conditions a little bit, and then this is where we really want to be intervening, at the least between 5 and 6. So when you're out in the backcountry and these things happen, just always keep this in your mind. You know, it just takes a fraction of a second. So you're out hiking with your buddies, you've got your backpack, easily a 1 and 2. But then if somebody says, you know what, let's try to do this other trail, or let's do something like this, let's add some variance to it, let's just, instead of doing a smart decision and evacuating when we see the storm clouds coming, let's change that plan and continue going. Just realize that you're getting closer and closer to these conditions that get worse and worse and worse, and eventually could end up in death. Classes that we offer here at Colorado Mountain Man really correlate with this scale, and I'll give you some examples. So our navigation class, if you're really dialed in with navigation and our 3-day modern survival, This is the way you're going to be very, very comfortable in. You're going to know how to navigate. You're going to know how to not get lost. We're going to teach you risk management. We're going to teach you the modern survival tools where you make a tarp shelter, use a jet boil, something like that, make a fire, use your clean canteens, whatever you have to boil water. So that's the 3-day, and the navigation really kind of fit in this area here. Once you get into a situation that's getting into 5 and 6 and 7, we start getting into needing more knowledge about some of these things. So our 5-day class, we have a dedicated day for fire, water, tools, food, and shelter. So at the 3-day class, we teach you a lot of modern stuff. The 5-day, we get into some more primitive things, lean-tos, debris huts, things like that. We spend a whole day on fire, a whole day on gathering water. So that's the skill set that you'll need if you start getting into worsening and worsening situations. From about 6.5 to 9, that's all wilderness medicine. So we offer a 20-hour wilderness first aid and a 70-hour wilderness first responder class, and that's when you learn how to respond in this situation. So you're at an 8, somebody's broken their leg, they've got a severe injury. Wilderness first responder is going to tell you how to fix that, package them, evacuate, and hopefully descend this as it goes up. All right, well, guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave a comment below or send me an email. Thanks.